grieving process, understanding the stages and confronting sorrow. Confronting grief is one of life's most formidable experiences. This comprehensive guide will assist you in comprehending the stages of grief, coping with sorrow, and finding support during this process. Loss is an inevitable part of life. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, a job, a pet, or even the end of a relationship, grief is the emotional journey we embark on to process and move forward. It's a path filled with twists and turns, with moments of profound sadness, anger, anguish, and eventually, acceptance. In this article, we will delve into the grieving process, understanding its different stages, how to identify them, and most importantly, how to cope with the pain that accompanies loss. What is grief? Grief is the natural response to significant loss. It's a complex process that involves a range of emotions, thoughts, and behavioral changes. It gradually allows us to detach from what we have lost and adapt to the new reality. While it is often associated with the death of a loved one, grief can arise from any type of loss, such as end of a relationship, death of a pet, relocation to a new city, loss of a job, diagnosis of a serious illness. The duration and intensity of grief vary from person to person. Some factors that may influence this process include the nature of the loss of a spouse, child, friend, personal history of previous losses, emotional support received, individual personality, the stages of grief. The most well-known model for understanding grief was proposed by psychiatrist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, based on her work with terminally ill patients. This model presents 5 distinct stages. Denial. Denial is a natural defense mechanism that arises immediately after the loss. It's as if we tell ourselves, "This cannot be happening." It's a way to cushion the initial impact of grief, giving us time to begin processing the situation. Anger. When denial begins to fade, anger may emerge. It's common to feel irritable, resentful, and to question why the loss occurred. This anger may be directed at ourselves, the deceased person, God, or fate. Bargaining. In this stage, we try to negotiate the loss. We make imaginary promises or pacts, seeking in some way to reverse the situation. If I had done X, Y wouldn't have happened. It's a desperate attempt to control the uncontrollable. Depression. Depression is the deepest phase of grief, characterized by profound sadness, hopelessness, lack of energy, and loss of interest in daily activities. It's normal to feel an emotional void and to isolate oneself from social interaction. Acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean forgetting the loss or pretending that nothing happened. It's the phase where we gradually learn to live with the absence, and the pain becomes bearable. We accept the new reality and begin to move forward, carrying the memory of the person or situation lost. It's important to note, it's crucial to understand that these stages do not necessarily occur in a linear fashion. It's common to experience conflicting feelings and to revisit them throughout the process. Indications of complicated grieving. Grieving is a universal experience, yet for some individuals, the pain can become debilitating. It is crucial to be mindful of certain signs that may indicate complicated grief, necessitating professional assistance. Persistent depressive symptoms, profound sadness, changes in sleep and appetite, loss of interest, intense anxiety and panic attacks, feelings of guilt and self-punishment, suicidal thoughts, difficulty in resuming routine activities, prolonged social isolation. If you identify with any of these signs, do not hesitate to seek help from a psychologist or therapist specialized in grief. Coping with grief. There are several approaches that can help you deal with grief in a healthy manner. Allow yourself to feel the pain. Do not try to suppress your emotions. Crying, screaming, allowing yourself to feel sadness are essential for the healing process. Talk about the loss. Discussing the deceased person or situation with friends, family, or a therapist can be an important source of support. Take care of yourself. Prioritize sleep, healthy eating, and physical activity. These practices will provide you with more energy and resilience to face the pain. Maintain routine as much as possible. Returning to daily activities such as work and studies can provide a sense of normalcy and control. Accept support from friends and family. Allow people to comfort you and offer assistance. Do not hesitate to seek help when needed. Engage in activities that bring you comfort. Practicing hobbies, listening to music, being in nature, religious or spiritual activities can be sources of relief and well-being. Join a support group. Being around people who are going through a similar situation can be comforting and motivating. Assisting someone in grief. If you know someone who is grieving, know that your presence and support can make a significant difference. Here are some tips on how to help. Be present. Sometimes the best thing we can do is simply be there for the person, without pressuring them to talk or behave in a certain way. Offer practical help. Assist with household chores, bureaucratic tasks, or childcare. Listen attentively. Allow the person to vent and talk about the loss without interruptions. Avoid cliched phrases. Statements like, "At least he's in a better place," or "Time heals all wounds" may sound insensitive and minimize the person's pain. Be patient. Grieving is a slow and individual process. Respect the timing and pace of the bereaved individual. Grief is a complex and painful emotional journey, but it is important to remember that it does not last forever. With time, the pain becomes more bearable, and we can move forward, carrying the memory of what we have lost. If you are experiencing grief, do not hesitate to seek professional help. Do not be afraid to ask for support and allow yourself to feel the pain. Grief is a natural process, and with time and proper support, you will be able to overcome this loss. Frequently asked questions. Question 1. Is it normal to feel anger during grief? Indeed, anger is a common emotion during grief. It is important to express it in a healthy manner, by confiding in someone trustworthy or engaging in physical activities. Question 2. How long does grief last? There is no set time for grief. Its duration varies from person to person and depends on the nature of the loss and emotional history. Question 3. How can I tell if my grief is complicated? If profound sadness, lack of interest in daily activities, and difficulty moving forward persist for an extended period, it is important to seek professional help to rule out the possibility of complicated grief. Question 4. Do I need to stay home all the time during grief? Not necessarily. Maintaining your routine as much as possible can be therapeutic. Venture outside, meet with friends and family, and resume activities that bring you joy. Question 5. Can grief make me sick? The emotional stress of grief can affect physical health. Therefore, it is important to take care of yourself, prioritizing sleep, healthy eating, and physical activity. We have reached the end of the audio grieving process, understanding the stages and confronting sorrow. Did you like this content? Share with someone who needs support right now.